Greetings. Welcome to Dr. English's Book Lovers Book Club. I'm Dr. English and I teach English. This week I'm going to be reviewing a book called Almost Super, and it's by Marion Jensen. And I have to tell you that the reason why I have this book is because at our school, elementary school, they had a one book, one school book, and I have been working as a paraprofessional as a sub for a long term, um, and uh, and one of the days we had, like, they have groups, and they mixed, kids that are kindergarten, fourth grade, first and fifth. I mean, they just mix up the classes, and they have groups time together with the older students. And one of the things they did was they read this book, and they had a quiz on it for every group. So kindergarten and other, all kindergarten through fifth grade, and they did the online. I can't think of the name of it. It's not Quizlet, um, but we did it all at the same time. And I felt like, man, if I'd have read the book, I could have helped. And then I found out later, no, paras and teachers cannot answer the questions, which I was like, bummer. I guess they would have thought that was cheating. And but I felt bad. I really wanted to know what actually happened, so I could have helped them. I could have helped at least that the little kindergartners. I could have helped them to do well on their quiz. And a Kahoot, that's what it is. I think it's called Kahoot. Anyway, I love stuff like that. I love quizzes. I always have. I didn't like giving them, but I liked taking them. And so I tried to make my quizzes fun when I had quizzes. But anyway, the whole thing about this is you have the Johnsons and the Bailey. It's kind of like, it's almost like the Hatfield and McCoys. And that, for some of you, that's like, who in the heck is that? I have no idea who she's talking about. But the story's narrator is Rafter Bailey and his brother Benny. And on February 29th, they get their superpowers at 4:23 p.m. And they're both bemoaning the fact that they have the dumbest superpowers. Like, their whole family has superpowers. And they get them, on their, like, I think it was their 12th birthday, 11th birthday. I can't remember exactly. And they're really mad that they have these really crappy superpowers. And so it's really just really well written for kids of all ages. I would say, first to fifth, through fifth is really a good, you could do this in middle school too. But I find it really kind of hilarious because it's like, it's just so geared towards, young children, that I think Marion deserves a medal for that alone. Because it's just the whole idea, like, all kids want to be special. All kids want to be super, want to have a special power. And so Benny and Rafter, they get, it's like the belly button pops out and I can start a fire on polyester. I mean, it's just, they're so silly. And so and then it's the girl in Rafter's class is Juanita Johnson, and she is like, you know their nemesis. And they have algebra together, and it's like, oh no, it's like, we don't want to be together in a class. And so it's like, because they're feuding. And so what's interesting is the Baileys believe that they are the superheroes, and they believe the Johnsons are the villains. And so, but it isn't until about halfway through the book that you know that, wait a minute, the Johnsons think they're the superheroes and the Baileys are the villains. So there's this dynamic of the belief that each of them has. So that's why I was referencing this old feud between the Hatfields and the McCoys. Is like, they think that they each think of each other as the bad guys. And I just find that really fascinating. I'm like, what the heck? But then we find that Benny, as the younger one, he's just like one of the kids who just like wants to tell the truth about everything. He's just so innocent yet. And so I found that really fascinating, that, he just sees the world from a little kid's point of view. And you just want to say, oh, you know, I like his approach. That's what being a superhero is to just let you tell the truth. And he gets that. And he's the youngest of the Johnsons, I think, at this point. Because it's, I want to say when they're 11, but then I think it's a big window because there's only a February 29th every 4 years. So I think that it's just a whole age group, at a certain time gets their superpowers. And it's kind of funny because I think the parents are like, when I think it's The Incredibles, I don't remember, but about how the parents, are, uh, they're just so kind of that whole idea of the superhero is, do the right thing, and always, looking out for everybody, all day long. They're like on patrol. And so they're kind of like in that regard, kind of more like Superman, is like they're trying to keep track of who are the bad guys. And I'm going to read an excerpt. It's from page 80. This is a conversation. They were in the library, like, and then Rafter gets upset because they have a new math teacher, and that's the class he has with Juanita, and they get a new math teacher, and his name is Mr. Johnson. So he's like, right away, he's got his dander up. All right, so then they get into a situation where they're all together, not in the classroom, but in the library. And here's the excerpt that I wanted to show you, like, how they feel about each other, and yet the kids don't understand. Wait a minute, what's going on here? Maybe I could be a little more bold. I thought back to what she'd said about the battle at the thermal underwear factory. I remember that battle. Swinging my feet over the bookcase, I took a deep breath, pushed off, and dropped to the floor. I landed 2 feet from Juanita and was rewarded with a look of alarm. Juanita stumbled and fell, landing on her rear end. She scooted back on her hands and feet. I spoke calmly to show I was in complete control. We got a call from a citizen telling us you were smuggling illegal weapons into the country. Juanita scrambled to her feet, glaring at me. I kept right on talking. And your family was storing them in that factory. That was one of our greatest battles ever. We beat you even though we were down by 3 people because Uncle Ralph and his family all had dental appointments. I don't know what I was expecting. Maybe for Juanita to attack, or for her to keep telling lies. I was ready for anything, except what happened next. Juanita softened. The anger in her face diminished and turned into confusion. We weren't smuggling weapons, she said. What are you talking about? The thermal underwear factory. Juanita looked like she was trying to read my mind. We got a call from a citizen warning us that you were building a laser. We saved the day by destroying the machinery. I shook my head. No, I'm pretty sure that machinery was what they used to make thermal underwear. Juanita got to the end of the aisle. Don't try to confuse me, Rafter Bailey. She turned her head and made a spitting noise. This time I thought I heard something hit the plastic lining of a garbage can. Juanita pointed at her chest with a thumb. We are the superheroes. You are the villains. She reached over to the shelf and pressed the button. Aha. So, I think, that it's important to, like, stop. And I think this is what Marion Jensen is trying to help us to do, is to stop and think about how we perceive other people. And that, sometimes people outside of our, as children in this story, are doing things that they've always done because that's what they believed. And I think that's kind of happened in McCoy, that it started somewhere. And probably people don't even know the whole story. And they just kept the animosity between them. And sometimes we're like that, and with adults, are like, over generations of, people don't like each other. And so I think this is a really important lesson that Mr. Jensen is trying to teach through this book. So as far as teaching this, I think it's a good use of this book to make it the one book, one school book to read, for everybody to read, because it was sure a lot of fun doing the quiz. So I think this is a book, it's probably upper elementary and probably 6th, 7th grade. There's still readers who would really enjoy that. I don't think I would teach it in class. I think it's something that you could put in a book club. I think it's something that you could put on yourself for your students who kind of like superhero kind of stories. I think they'd enjoy this book. It's a really quick read, and it may not be a quick read for a 5th grader, but I do think it would be a lot of fun for some middle school students too. So I highly recommend it. I like I said, I was bummed out that I didn't have it in my hands, so I could have helped the kindergartners when the quiz, the Kahoot quiz came up, because I feel like that would have, and it was like you had to be fast, like I don't remember which group actually won the competition, but they were fast, and so they got the answers in right away. And so I thought, man, they must have had some really big readers in that group because they got their answers in. So it's called Almost Super. It's by Marion Jensen, and I think that you would like it if you are 3rd grade through 5th grade, or even a middle school student. You would probably enjoy this book. So Thank you for joining me. I'll see you next time. Bye.